This is a Passap plating device. So this is the original that came out many years ago. It's made out of brass, and it was called a Mesa, I think that's how you pronounce it, plating device. This particular one fitted onto the Passap Duo 80, the green machine. So in order for me to work it on the E6000, I designed the plate that goes on the back. I've then taken a very thin double-sided tape, taped it onto the back, and then put on the eyelet that I've 3D printed, and then just to place that into position, just so that it's just in the right position to be able to move backwards and forwards and not running off the edge. The black dot or red dot just needs to come to the top, so either or. And once you've got this on, then just put a black or red dot there so that you know your gear is, your eyelet is actually moving in the teeth. So how I thread this, because there's two holes at the bottom, not quite the easiest of things to thread. So what I've done is I've made myself a little tool which has got a very fine angle on it, and just cut it off. I use the flexible steel that actually comes out of your rubber cast on comb. So you take out some of that, and I just made a little hook, cut off the tip, just so that it can actually be fed through. So all I do is I push it through, grab some yarn. Now I do wrap it around a few times. So I take the yarn and I just wrap it a few times around here. So just wrap, wrap, wrap. As I said, not quite the easiest. Let's take the tension out of that. Just taking it so there's a lot of, there we go. So I don't have to fight with the tensioner. Alright, so I'll just give it a few wraps. And by doing that, that just helps with trying to pull it through. And then give it a pull through. Doesn't work first time, try again. But I found that this was the easiest way of trying to thread it. You'll get the hack of it. You'll get the hang of it after a few tries. But it does work. As I said, the hardest part. Wrap, 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 and pull through. There we go. Now just a little bit of advice. Once you've got it through, do take it and actually just hook it onto your mast, because you don't want this coming back off again. Put your second colour through, and then make sure you tie a knot at the bottom, just so that don't both spring out. Once you've got them threaded, you're going to put them into your lock. And again, so you're going to move the carriage. If it's this way, place it in and make sure the red dot corresponds. Now the reason being for that, your red dot is here where there's a hole. So once you 3D print, you'll actually see there's a hole, and that's where you just make the little red dot and the little black dot. And the reason why we have these markings is basically because it tells us that the holes coming out are 90 degrees to the dot. So your yarn will actually come out to the side here and to the side there. Now showing you some fabric. So I used the original one, which was the brass one, and I started off, and I did have bad needles. So I needed to change the needles after starting. I used a full needle bed, and this was just with a normal eyelet. So looking at the fabric, this was a normal eyelet. Just used a grey one that I had. started off, there you go. Then I changed over to the original device, the plating device, and I knitted that. You can actually see the difference. This gives you a lovely pattern, and that of course is, for me, it's not that pleasing. I prefer that pattern there. Starting with the brass one, now because I had a few bad needles, it gave me some loops. But this is really what plating is all about. So I just selected 2 needles on the back bed, transferred the rest of the needles from the back bed to the front bed, and then what I did is, as I knitted, I saw that there were a problem with the needles, replaced the needles, and of course that then fixed up my needle problem with all the loops. And because I wanted to change it and make it look a little bit different, I took, so what's normally red, I just took it and swung it around to make it black red. And when I did that, then of course you get the other color coming to the foreground and the other one to the background. So I wanted to make sure that whatever I've 3D printed, it came out correctly. So I then changed over and I went to my 3D printed part and I knitted, and to me that has come out really well, and it looks like the original. So that's the original one at the bottom here, and this is my 3D printed one over there. Coming to the solid color, that's where it went solid. I did start getting a bit of loops on the side, but fixed that with the tensioner. And then of course finished off going back to a full needle bed, still using the plating device to give me this pattern. Now turning this over, this is actually what it looks like on the back. So it's up to you as to which side you like. So as I stretch it, you get the colors coming through. And that's it there. So the plating device, you can download it for 3D printing, or you can ask someone to actually 3D print it for you. Make up your little tool to be able to thread it through and get some double-sided tape and start enjoying plating on your Passap machine.